A commenter asked to have a discussion about mothers who do not celebrate their daughters' wins, or you can make it mothers who don't celebrate their children's wins, or even parents who don't celebrate their children. Hi, my name is Dr. Natalie Jones. I'm a licensed therapist. She says, how do I get over my mother not celebrating my wins in life? It's like she's in competition with me, and I desperately just want a normal mother-daughter relationship. This dynamic also leads to her not helping me when I'm down, as if I deserve to suffer when she could easily help me. I don't always ask. I hustle and find new ways, but it still bothers me. Thanks so much for asking this. And I think, the phenomenon that you described actually happens a lot with mothers and their daughters, where mothers will literally watch history repeat itself with their daughters and see how their daughters deal with certain actions, or will sort of laugh at their daughter's misery, not offer advice and not help them, or really just secretly wish that they fail, just so they can get ahead. It's not right. I'm just saying it's a phenomenon that's very common. In fact, I think we saw a bit of this phenomenon play out recently. I don't know if you've been watching a clip go around recently of a mother and her daughter, and her daughter's baby daddy on a podcast. And, the daughter reminds me a lot of myself. There's a time when I was very naive and very innocent in the world. And when you're naive and you're innocent, um, you don't want to rock the boat with a lot of people. So you don't really ask a question that thinks that a person might think is offensive, or, you don't bring up things that could tentatively turn into an argument in a romantic relationship. And I think a lot of us have been there at one point in time or another, especially when you're younger. Now that's not so much me, but I felt really bad for her. But her mother is, I don't know, an entertainer of sorts. Um, and in the entertainment world, her mother is very vicious towards women in general. So I saw a little bit of that playing out on this podcast, where she seemed to be relishing in the fact that her daughter was naive and didn't know a lot of things, or knew that her baby daddy was using her. And not only that, um, body language that I saw, and I definitely study body language, it looked like her mother was flirting with her baby daddy a little bit, to the point where I was thinking, I kind of think she would, do a few things with this man, I think she would double cross her daughter. That was the body language that stuck out to me. I could be wrong, but that very seldom ever happens when it comes to reading body language. But again, I'll take it on the chin if I'm wrong. Um, but we saw this play out, and a lot of women were shaming the daughter and this and that, and how she was this and that. That's what daughters are. We're naive, we're gullible. We don't really know until we experience life and we experience the world, right? We don't really know. Dr. Jones was not Dr. Jones, 20, 30, years ago. Dr. Jones was a silly girl, fumbling her way through life just like everybody else was. And so that's what's supposed to happen. That's what happens in life. However, you're supposed to be able to surround yourself with women, particularly your mother and other feminine figures, grandmothers and things like aunts, if you will, in your family, that could help sort of guide you and offer you advice along the way. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to take it, but they're there to be supportive and guide you along the way. And that could feel like we're missing a lot, or that we're in the room with our enemy, so to speak. And sometimes we don't even know we're in the room with our enemy. Unfortunately, I feel like this young girl, maybe she'll learn or not from the public media outcry telling her, "Hey, your mother is your enemy." But sometimes it may take us years to not necessarily learn, but to accept our mother is our enemy. And so I'm sharing that because I'm telling this commenter that part of the work it sounds like you need to do is accept that your mother may be your enemy, or may not be doing good things. So the sooner you accept that and stop hoping for something different, then you could act accordingly. So with my enemies, I'm not going to share things, and I hope you wouldn't either. I wouldn't be in the same room with them, and I really wouldn't be expecting anything from them, just like they shouldn't expect anything from me. In fact, we can go our lives and never speak a day again. That's how I'm treating an enemy. I don't want an enemy. Um, and I'm not expecting things like that. So my thing for you is you need to accept her for who she is and act accordingly. If she's giving enemy behavior, then treat her accordingly. Don't romanticize, put wishful thinking, hopefulness that she is going to change. If she just sees that you're good enough, if she just sees that you're doing all these things, I don't know how old you are, but it sounds like you're old enough to know better, right? Like, or you've experienced her enough to know better that she's not really changing. And then if she were to change, and I always tell you guys this, if she were to change, I would be more suspicious of that if she's always treated you like an enemy. Let her deal with her stuff, right? That is her stuff. And that really has nothing to do with you. You just need to know that, hey, I made an observation, I clocked it, and now I have to move accordingly. And I can't depend on her, and I don't want to count on her. And even if you were to depend on her and she gave you money, chances are it wouldn't be with no strings attached. People who are in competition don't do things that way. And I understand you wanting a normal mother-daughter relationship is not abnormal. It's not even wrong to want that. Um, and I can, if I were a guessing person, I would guess that she knows that you want this and she dangles this over your head like a carrot. My advice to you is to not let her have that power over you. And if you want a mother-daughter relationship, seek that out in another mother-like figure who's willing and able to do that for you. Don't do it with this one because it's going to hurt you more in the long run. You're going to end up resentful. Um, she may even lash out and become even more hurtful. So don't do that. Or, unlike the mother that I mentioned earlier, embarrass you. And degrade you in front of the world. Um, and you could see, from how your mother interacts with other women, how she's going to interact with her daughters. And so you can kind of tell when that mother has her own issues that she needs to work out. So, see her for what she is, seek out another mother figure, let go of the desperation. And I would encourage you to do that by working on that in therapy. People know when you're desperate for things, and they become like sharks in the water, and they unfortunately they weaponize that desperation against you, and not in a good way. So just take care of yourself, mother yourself, nurture yourself, um, and let go of the idea of what you thought that could be with her. And that, I know that sounds bad. It's pretty much like a death, and it can be actually harder than grieving a real death because she's here in physical form, but she's not here in the emotional form, if that makes sense. So thanks so much for asking this. I know there's probably a bajillion women out there, maybe even a bajillion sons, and so forth, who have similar dynamics and maybe have similar questions. You take care, and I hope that helps. And one last thing I will tell you, make sure you celebrate uh, your own wins and celebrate yourself. Start to become more confident in loving in who you are. And, you become the party when no one else shows up. Thanks so much.